Hey guys, this is your practice video for the Mozart K 499. This is really similar to the Mozart we had last week, the Jupiter Symphony excerpt, in that we're dealing with small note values and a nice slow tempo. So first off, I've highlighted the part you're responsible for. So first violin, just through the end of that highlighted section in the second system. You are responsible for conducting the beat pattern, so conducting in 3, and just speaking the rhythm in whatever way you find most comfortable, ta or whatever, whatever suits your fancy. Okay, my plan here is just to troubleshoot the traditionally rough spots and leave you to your own devices for the spots that are a little bit easier. So let's jump right into it. Let's look at the first measure. So you guys know I love to do this, marking out where my beats are. So here's beat 1. Here's beat 2, here's beat 3. Beats 1 and 3, I have no reservations about your ability to perform those correctly. What happens in the middle is where it can get a little bit dicey. So let's look at what's going on. Your 16th note subdivision is going to be your best friend for this excerpt, similar to the Jupiter last week. So let's take a look. You've got an 8th note, you've got a dotted 16th rest, and then this 32nd note right at the very end of the second beat. So you've got to keep your 16th note subdivision in your ear so that you can tack that 32nd note on right at the appropriate point. The best way I think for me to kind of explain this or show this is actually just put a click track on at the 16th note level. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to just ta and speak through the first measure. So here you go. 3 E and ta, 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 ta. So you can hear now how that, I'm gonna shut that off, how the 32nd note comes in right at the tail end of that 2 E and a ta. So I'll do it one more time. 3 E and ta, 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 ta. All right. Now, this rhythmic figure in beats 2 and 3 here is actually exactly the same as this figure here. They're notated slightly differently. There's a broken beam in one and not in the other, but they're the exact same rhythm. So you've already figured out most of the second beat. The second measure, we just have to figure out the first beat. So let's take a look. I'm gonna get this out of the way real quick. Let's take a look. So we have a dotted 8th, and then we have 4 64th notes that are stuck into that last 16th note. So 1 E and taka taka ta. Let's try it. I'm going to put the metronome back on, and go ahead and if you're able, ta and conduct along with, and I'm going to do the first 2 measures. 3 E and ta ta. Ta 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 taka taka ta 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 ta. Fine. So if you want some extra practice, just put me on pause, rewind, and work through that a few times, or just set your metronome up. I have this on, that's 124 for the 16th. So maybe just set a metronome up and kind of work that out. That's the hardest part of the first system. So I'm not going to belabor the first system. I trust that you guys will be fine for the rest of it. Again, just keep that 16th note subdivision in your head, and it'll keep everything nice and clean. Now let's take a look at the second system. It's a little more complicated. It's a lot of ink. It looks really intimidating, but I promise it's not that bad. I'm gonna sketch some beats out for you. So here's beat 1, here's 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Let's focus on these 2 measures. So the first beat, super easy. I'm not going to talk about it. The third beat is actually really easy once you figure out what's going on. So let's take a look at the second beat. You have 1 16th note, and then the other 3 16ths in that beat are just split in half. And then you continue that through the entire third beat. So the third beat is just straight 32nd notes all the way through the beat. Then when you get to the next measure, you've got 2 beats of just regular 16th notes, and then you subdivide each of those in half for the entirety of the third beat. Probably easier to just go through it once. So if you want to conduct along with me, ta along with me, go to town. If you just want to hear it once, that's cool too. 3 E and ta ta taka 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 ta 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 taka 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 ta. So now that you've heard it once, you can hear how this is actually less complicated than the very beginning. It's just a matter of subdividing all of your 16th notes in half. Okay, let's get the last couple beats nailed down and get that whole second system kind of in one fell swoop. Here's your beat 1, here's your beat 2. Both of them, again, super easy. I'm not worried about that. Beat 3 is actually the same rhythm as this beat right here. You've got 1/16 and then the rest are 30-second notes. So let's tag that on. So let's go from the start of the second system. 3 E and ta taka 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 ta 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 ta. Okay, last little bit is the very end and then you're done. So we only have to worry about beat 1 and then you finish up on beat 2. So beat 1 starts, you've got an 8th note and then you are tied into 4 30-second notes. So what I'd like us to do first is just get rid of the tie. So we're just gonna ta an 8th note. We're gonna pretend this tie isn't even there. So you're gonna give me an 8th note and 4 30 seconds. Here's your 16th. 3 E and ta 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 ta. Let's try it again. 3 E and ta 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 ta. Now, see if you can put the tie back in. So if you need to practice that just kind of under tempo, that is totally fine. Let's go back one measure. So I'm going from here. Let's get into it and try it with the tie in there. 3 E and ta 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 ta. So again, if you need to just kind of woodshed that passage, back up and try it a few times. So that is your crash course in the 499 excerpt. For a plus, you actually have a couple of options. So for a plus, you may either conduct and sing the rhythm on a neutral syllable. So it doesn't have to be on solfège or anything like that, but conduct and sing the rhythm on a neutral syllable or system of your choice. Or this one is actually really fun. You can conduct, speak the rhythm, and with your non-conducting hand, tap the cello part. Now, the cello is not super busy. The hardest part is right in measures 3 and 4. So if you're thinking about going that route, take out the conducting to start and just practice speaking the violin and tapping the cello. And then maybe just practice conducting and tapping the cello. And then try and put all 3 together. If you're going for a check, you don't do any of that. Just conduct and speak the rhythm while conducting. Let's do it one time, whole thing through. If you don't want to listen to my weird like zombie intonation as I talk, that's fine. You can just shut me up. You guys have a lot of power now, right? You can just turn me off when you don't want to hear me anymore. But let's go through it once. I'm going to keep the metronome off because it is super annoying after a while. So we're going to conduct and ta through this once as a group if you just want kind of like a full practice track. Okay, so from the top. 3 E and ta 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 taka taka ta 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 taka 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 ta 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 taka 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 ta 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 taka 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 ta 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 ta. You may go a smidge slower than that. It's totally fine. If you got questions about this or again want to practice buddy, hop on into my office hours and I'm happy to work with this. So have fun and I will look forward to see your lovely smiling faces on video. Thanks guys. Be well.